Whiskey Advocate just came out with their top 20 whiskeys of the year, and the number one whiskey of the year was this Elijah Craig Batch A925 Barrel Proof Rye. The first barrel proof rye release from Heaven Hill and the Elijah Craig band. And and the Elijah Craig brand. So let's break it down. Now this comes in, it's barrel proof, comes in at 108 proof, so relatively low for barrel proof. And I've had it before, and I like it a lot. But let's go back in now with sort of a different lens, tasting the whiskey of the year. So on the nose, it's not terribly rye forward. It's actually one of the reasons I like it. It's got a nice sweet profile. Still, I would imagine quite a bit of corn in there, but also at over 12 years of age, 12 years and 3 months, there's also that nice mature oak. It's not overdone. It's not over oaked. Nice balance between the sweet and the oaky notes, but I don't get a ton of rye spice. It's very tasty. This is one of these whiskeys that I think has got a really nice balance. And in this situation, again, I don't get a lot of the rye herbal notes. If you just gave this to me and didn't tell me, I would easily mistake this for a bourbon. But nice sweet notes, there's some brown sugar. Again, I don't get a lot of the snappy rye, but the balance for me comes in as it kind of goes into a dry, tannic, and oaky finish, but it is not over oaked. I mean, this to me is right here. The oak and the sweet, I think, are in really, really nice balance. It doesn't necessarily, again, if you gave it to me, I don't necessarily know if I would think that this was, if you gave it to me blind, if I would think that this were 12 years of age. It's a really, really pleasant sip. But having said that, it's not the most exciting. Nice flavors, again, nice balance from beginning to end. If you gave me a pour of this, I'd be like, yeah, that's really good. But it's nothing, at least for me personally, that blows my socks off. So let's talk about that. So in previous years, I believe I can't remember, it was last year, was Glen Glassaw Sandend, a Scotch that I thought was really good, but it kind of hit that same thing for me. I thought it was really nice. It was really balanced. It had nice subtle flavors, but it wasn't any kind of powerhouse. And maybe the same thing with Jack Daniel's Bonded, which was Whiskey of the Year for Whiskey Advocate a couple of years ago. So it makes me think, and I'm not criticizing at all. It just makes me think that what the people that are selecting this are, they've got a dilemma. Do they pick the thing that just is completely an explosion, but maybe slightly out of balance, or do they pick the whiskey that they think is going to appeal to the masses? And I have that stress too when I do a barrel pick. You go and do a barrel pick, and I'm always torn between two of the barrels. There's usually one to me that's unique and different, maybe off profile, that I like, and then there's going to be another one that I think, oh, maybe this is what a lot of people are going to like, and that's hard for me sometimes to make that decision to think which one ultimately I'm going to pick. Honestly, I usually go to the safer selection because, and not that the safer selection is bad, but I just think that if let's say I'm going to work with a liquor store, they want to sell those bottles too, obviously, and they want to sell something that the vast majority of the customers are going to drink and enjoy, versus maybe something that's more of like a niche product, that people are going to either love or hate. Which I think it just depends on the pick that you're doing. I mean, if it just depends, but I think for a store that maybe doesn't do a lot of barrel picks, I think they're going to probably pick something that's a little bit more balanced, a little bit more safe, versus a store that does picks all the time. Then you could go for example, Preet Liquors up in New Windsor. He's got 70 picks. So you can do some way out picks, like they've got that Wyatt Earp that's 160 proof, right? But they can do that because that's gonna be for a certain market, but their Maker's Mark pick and some of their other picks, more reasonably priced, are gonna kind of be more down the center line of taste. And I think that's what, if I had to get into the head of what Whiskey Advocate is doing, I think that's what they're doing. So, you could agree or disagree. Let me know in the comments. But I think that, like, if you think to yourself, like, what would you do? Would you pick like the thing that like blew your socks off? The rye. Like, if we're talking about rye, where's that bottle? The rye that blew my socks off this year was this. Now, also, it's this River Roots King of Triton, ruler ruler of the Parkas. This is insanely good. Now, having said that, I don't know if Whiskey Advocate is going to pick a single barrel. I think that probably would be silly for them to pick a single barrel as whiskey of the year. So, maybe that's not a fair comparison. Oh, but I mean, this is like it just like you can barely smell this after you smell this. I mean, it's just so intense with flavors, also balanced. But this is just a powerhouse. But again, unfair maybe for a single barrel. Um, but out of all the whiskeys in the world, for this one to be like the top dog, I don't know. I think that maybe it is. It might if I'm going to editorialize, I think that's probably a little bit more taking it to the safe side. Um, but I get it, and then who knows what other financial pressures there are, and for certain brands to kind of come out on top. That's a whole other story. But having said that, I think this is a super super nice Kentucky style rye. MSRP is about $80. Barrel proof, over 12 years of age. From Heaven Hill, the Elijah Craig brand, from a really good brand. I like a lot of their stuff. It's super super good. So whether you agree that it's whiskey of the year or not, if you happen to find one for $79, I think you should get it because I think that it is just an enjoyable sip, tasty. There's nothing off profile about it. Really in balance, and again for the age, I think it just drinks really nice. So that's my thoughts. So let me know in the comments what you think. I don't know if you've had it. I don't know what you think about Whiskey Advocate in general or their picks. It's is it a popularity contest or you could let's talk about that. So let me know in the comments, and let's get that discussion going. And as always, thanks for watching.